Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Maddie. How you doing, boy?
I'm doing great, thank you, man. How are you?
Good, man. It's good to have you back on the pod. How's
Happy
life?
to be back.
How's life treating you? How's dad life treating you?
Life's good. Yeah, just a lot of busy things going on right now with the little one, and it was a little bit of a less stressful year on the football front, but a more stressful year as a dad. So yeah, it evened itself out really.
Yeah. How did you enjoy your summer break? Did you watch the Euros?
I did watch the Euros. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the summer break. It's it can get kind of stressful sometimes, with the fantasy soccer. So it was a nice little break, but ready to get going again.
It's so strange hearing someone from like up north. I don't want to give away the name yet, but up north say the word soccer.
Yeah, I literally when I said it, then I felt like a little dagger to the heart. I mean, originally from the north of England, living in America now, it's just ingrained into me. So, but football, we'll go with football from here on out.
Yeah. You know what? Then let's start with our fan introduction. Tell us your name, your Twitter handle, the club that you're representing today, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
So, my name is Matty. My Twitter handle is mstevo91. My club is the Mighty Toffees, Everton. And I am originally from the Liverpool area, but now I live just outside of Detroit in Michigan. And just day to day, I just work for a local company in the customer support area. And yeah, that's basically it.
Love it. All right, listeners, welcome back to yet another Inside Trax series episode. We're here to chat everything Everton. A quick breakdown for how these pods go. We have 3 segments, a general discussion where we talk about impact of new or old manager, maybe something changed in the coaching system or hierarchy of the club. We look at previous season's performance. We also chat about the new season's expectations, old system versus new system, so impact of any transfers. So we're going to go as far back as last summer as well, and then expected formation and starting 11 for the upcoming 24-25 season. Then our second segment is obviously draft focused. We're going to chat some Fantrax assets. We'll ask Maddie's first pick from Everton, his next 3 picks, which rounds he takes them in, at least 1 hidden gem and at least 1 trap. And then finally, being an experienced manager like himself, we're going to pick his brain, get some advice, maybe chat about how he does trades, how he makes his waiver claims, and some of his best and worst moments thus far. All right, let's get started. So, I think we have to start with the points deduction, right? Yeah, so November 17th, you guys were deducted 10 points for breaching the profit and sustainability rules. Apparently, this was marked the biggest points deduction in Premier League history, and then it was reduced to 6 points after the initial appeal. However, in April, you guys were found for yet another breach, and you were deducted 2 points. As a result, you became the first English top flight club in history to have ever received 2 separate points deductions in a single season. Not the records you want to be breaking, eh?
Not the records I would have wanted to be breaking. Yeah, no, not at all. It was hard, it was, especially after the season before, staying up on the last day, to then, essentially be deducted 8 points across the season. If you had told me that this time last year, I'd have been nervous about the upcoming year. It would have been, we stayed up literally by the skin of our teeth the season before. If we're starting off with 8 points less, it's a big hole to get out of. So, not ideal. I mean, I think the points deductions were, we went wrong. We held our hands up, and I think there were 10 points at first was, I mean, huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge deduction.
I mean, mentally as well on the players. You looked at interviews and stuff. They did look like, a little distraught, I want to say.
Yeah. Especially with the players who were with us the year before, going through that, staying up on the last day.
Yeah.
it was especially I think hit them
Mm.
harder than most. But I think if there's a manager in this who would be in this situation,
Yeah.
backs against the wall,
Yeah.
I think Dyche is. I think he revels in that sometimes.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we went on a little good run after the 10-point deduction and kind of got ourselves out of the hole pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Premier League was. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were trying to come down hard on us, I think, to make an example of Everton.
Yeah.
And then, we played, I think, 15 matches before it was reduced to 6 points.
Mm.
And then we got the extra 2 points for 3 more years that we broke. But then the 2 of the 3 years they charged us for the second time round, we'd already been charged for in the first round of charges. So, I mean, it was... anything could have come from it, with the Premier League now. I mean, I'd be particularly worried if I was a fan of another club now who's potentially close to
Leicester
breaking those. Because you just don't know what you're going to get. It's like the spinning a wheel.
Yeah.
Whatever it lands on, that's what you get. It's
Yeah.
a slap on the wrist or 10 points. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, speaking of Sean Dyche, the perfect pressure manager. He's still in the dugout, right? You must be absolutely buzzing that he's still there.
yeah, I think he has his. He's got kind of the feel of Everton back a little bit. When I was growing up, it was David Moyes the manager, and it was, we weren't playing really really nice football, but we were getting results and we compete every game, and we were always in with a shout. And Dyche has his, he does well. He's drilled the players. He's got the players fit and ready to go, fighting for the cause. Some downsides too, his in-game tactics are not amazing. Substitutions, leaves it too late for me sometimes, too like for like. But overall, after everything that went on last year, points deductions, the ownership, he was basically answering questions on literally every front of the club, and to keep us up and with the point deductions, and not just keep us up. We were well clear in the end.
Yeah.
Full credit to him.
You tack on those 8 points, and I listened back to our last recording. You basically fall into that 10 to 14 region, right? Which is what your expectation was for the season last season. So it worked out perfectly.
Well, yeah, with those 8 points back, I think we would have finished ahead of Fulham and Wolves, and then we would have been level with Brighton and Bournemouth.
Yeah,
I mean, if you told me at the start of the year, we'd been level with Brighton, I'd have
snapped your hand
for sure taken that. Oh yeah, and we ended up, I think, at 1 point behind Crystal Palace, who had a great end to the year too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it can't be underestimated, the job that Dyche did last year.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to see what you guys will do this season. Other than Dyche is there, has anything changed within the hierarchy? Any coaches in and out that you think could kind of influence how we look at Everton assets?
No coaches really. Nothing kind of has changed off the field, I don't think, in terms of the coaching. The ownership is still up in the air. We had the guy who owns Roma in Syria, had exclusivity, and then that ended, and just kind of still up in the air a little bit. But I don't think that's changing too much. I think Everton would. They were acting with the money in the transfer window. The money they had, the ownership coming in had nothing to. They weren't spending money they didn't have. So, we brought some players in. We've lost a couple of players, of course, too. But nothing's kind of changed too much off the field.
Yeah, I'm looking back at last season as well in terms of previous season performance. I look at like a graphic, like a colored graphic of how you guys performed. Started really crap, like 4 losses and a draw in your first 5. Then you had some really, really good run of form. You had some big away wins as well. I think one of them was like a 3-1 to Brentford. I'm pretty sure I went to that game as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember I had Tarkowski in my team, and I was sat with Brentford fans, and I jumped when he scored the header, and I was like, oh shit, probably shouldn't have done that. And then you guys had that another, sticky patch from like December to March. There wasn't a win, I think, in maybe 10 to 12 games. And then you ended the season strong, right? And I think maybe the most peak Daesh moment was the 2-0 defeat. The 2-0 win versus Liverpool, right? That basically cemented your safety in the league. Oh, that game was just fantastic because one of your gems from last season, Branthwaite, turned out to be an actual fucking gem in the season.
Yeah, it was. You were right about the run of games. We had after the first points deduction, we had a little good run, and I think from kind of like the new year until end of March, April, I think we went like 15 games maybe unbeaten. I'm not sure if that was all league games, but it was a lot of league games. And it was a little different to the start of the season when we were losing games because at the start of the season we were creating chances. We just weren't putting the ball in the back of the net.
XG monsters.
But then, it was crazy, and then we had a huge struggle patch. But I honestly think one of the big turnarounds. We stopped that halt by beating Burnley at home, and then we had the huge loss, the thumping at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. But I honestly think though that if Chelsea would have beat us 2-0 that day or 3-1, I don't think it would have had the same effect.
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating for 6-0 defeats here.
But
I think after that, they had an honest sit-down chat with everyone and was like, hey, we've got some big games coming up now. We've got some big home games especially.
Yeah.
What we're going to do here. And then from that Chelsea game, I think the last 6 games of the season, I think we won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1.
Yeah,
so,
spot on.
It all picked up from there. But yeah, those we had 5 home games at the end of the year. It was Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Brentford, and Sheffield United. And we won all 5.
Yeah,
and that's without conceding a goal.
Clean sheets.
So,
yeah.
That's all we could ask for. That's doesn't matter how pretty we were playing at that point. It was about getting the 3 points and. It was huge. We had a tough away game there as well, Luton thrown in. We wanted to be safe before that. We didn't want to be going into that with, still in that dogfight. So
definitely,
those results were massive around that time.
Yeah, you know what? Funny enough, that Chelsea game, I was like, you know what? Everton is solid defensively. We are unpredictable as well. At that time of the season, like, there was no consistency to Chelsea's game. It was like, smash one game, lose the next one. Like, we don't know what to expect. So I actually went into that fixture with Nicholas Jackson, but I had 2 Everton defenders. I think I had Tarkowski and I had Ashley Young. So from a Chelsea perspective, I was like, yay, goals. But then by the end of it, I was like, what, minus 24 points or something like that because of all the goals conceded. Obviously, I lost my head-to-head matchup because of that. But you know what? That is in the past.
Yeah. I can only apologize.
it's all right, mate. You're still back in the league, and I still trust the Everton defense, right? So let's talk a little bit about some of the transfers as far back as last summer. So in terms of massive outs, I remember listening back again, Yeremina was one that you were quite keen on keeping because you were quite worried about who was going to be that centre-back pairing for Tarkowski, but Jared Branthwaite, fucking, yeah, I mean, why would you ever want to break up that couple right now?
Yeah, I mean, Branthwaite was, the 2 of them really, Tarkowski and Branthwaite were awesome all year. I think they really helped each other out in different ways, and in the end we completely did not need Yeremina. He'd have been for sure. I don't think he would have played ahead of either of those 2. He would have probably played ahead of the backups. Michael Keane, Holgate, Godfrey, etc. We're not really doing too much, but that turned out. Branthwaite came back from his loan at PSV and just set the world on fire. So it was he was awesome all year. Yeah, and I still can't believe he didn't go to the Euros.
Yeah, honestly,
baffling to me. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It was. I mean, he's a left-footed centre half, and when England were playing that back 3 in a couple of the games, he'd have been perfect there on that left side, and I don't think he would have been out of his comfort zone at all. The guy just oozes class and is I'm fingers crossed we can keep hold of him for as long as we can.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question about him. Is like, what's the fare around losing him in this transfer window? Because I mean, a lot of teams are looking for that quality left-footed centre back.
Yeah, I think there's only Manchester United so far who have been coming forward with their interest, but they've been offering absolutely
Pennies.
derisory money. Yeah, derisory offers, and I think their first one was like 35 million plus 8 million in add-ons, and I mean, they've set their own bar with the signings of Maguire, the signings of Anthony.
Yeah.
They've set their own bar now. If you want to sign, the next kind of best upcoming English defender who's 22 years of age, and it's probably going to play for you for 10 years, going to be a regular for England, you need to be offering similar types of money. And that's what Everton, I think, were saying. We were looking at 70 million plus, and they were not interested at that price. So, I mean,
that still seems cheap.
Yeah, I mean, if they get 10 years out of him, 7 million a year or so, it's so. Personally, though, I think, and United aren't the team that used to be. I think he'll do one more year with us. I think next year, I think he could play for. He might be Man City. That those types of clubs. One step kind of higher, and I think he just bides his time for one more year. He's got a great partnership with Tarkowski and Pickford. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we can keep all of him, but again, money talks,
Yeah, it really does. So when we recorded last time as well, I think it was before Alex Iwobi had transferred to Fulham. I don't know, did that one kind of come out of the blue? Because it did for me, and it feels like a loss in your midfield.
Yeah, creatively a little bit of a loss. My issue with Iwobi was that his output wasn't the best. Like, he created chances, but his assists, and if he's putting on a plate for somebody and they're not scoring, it's hardly his fault.
Yeah.
His goal return wasn't great though, and he was in the last year of his contract, and I think was not. Everton had offered him a deal.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to sign it, so we just needed to get the money in for him. We couldn't afford to lose him on a free. So maybe a little bit of a loss. I think where he would have fitted in for Dyche, I'm not too sure. Maybe on the wing. But again, we didn't want to lose someone for free, especially in our financial predicament. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, James Garner stepped up quite well.
Garner stepped up well. Harrison came in on loan from Leeds and had a little bit of a slow start. He had no pre-season, but then got up to speed a little bit. Popped up with some vital goals and assists, and the wing was somewhere where we were struggling a little bit. I think Ashley Young played there a little bit sometimes, and I think a few games we had a right side combination of Seamus Coleman and Ashley Young. So I think that was a combined age of like 75 years old. So not ideal, but did a job for us, and we strengthened a little bit in those areas this year.
Yeah, because you lost the likes of Demarai Gray to Saudi as well. I mean, a lot of clubs are losing their talent to Saudi these days, so that would have been another hole to kind of fill, in a sense. So
yeah, Gray was a bit hit and miss. His actual return was better than Iwobi's. I feel like goal wise, especially. But I don't think Dyche fancied him as that type of player. He's, when you look at his wingers who were there throughout the year, like Harrison and McNeil, different players to Gray. Kind of not as maybe spontaneous going forward, but defensively, were definitely much harder working.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's look at some of the ins in that summer. Ashley Young. Ashley Old. I mean, this guy doesn't seem to age. He did a job for you. I mean, last time you spoke about, getting his experience, him having played for much bigger clubs, different situations, and I'm sure that kind of also helped you guys get over the line, right? At certain points.
Yeah, Young had a bit of an up and down. Yeah, he had some games where he played pretty well. Had other games where he was. I mean, he got sent off in the first half in the Merseyside derby.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is not helpful at all for someone so experienced as him too. And I get that he had a tough game against Luis Diaz, but you just got to be smart,
Yeah.
and I was expecting a little more from him. But yeah, he did fill in various roles: right back, left back. I think he played on the wing a couple of
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not ideal, not someone we want to be starting every week, but nice to have there as like a bit of, as I said, experience, can fill in multiple holes if needed.
Yeah. Uh, Next name on loan from Villarreal, Arnaud Danjuma. What did you think of his influence on the squad? Not enough playing time, maybe?
I'd have liked seeing a little more of him, especially when we were going through like a little bit of that rough patch in the new year. I just think he has a bit of a goal threat about him, but again, I don't think that was a Daesh signing.
Mm.
I think that was someone who we were looking at the year before, of course, when he magically just disappeared and ended up at Tottenham.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was fully not on Daesh, and he kind of made that clear too. He fitted into kind of like a Damari Gray, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daesh used him when he had to, but was never going to start him.
Fair. Yusuf Chermiti. What can you tell us about him from last season?
Schmidt looked okay. I think he could do with a loan, really. I think with Calvert-Lewin's injury record and Beto being new, I think we couldn't really get Schmidt out on loan last year, but I think this year a loan would be perfect for him. I know he's injured right now, but he started the game, I think the home game against Brentford, and he's a big guy, puts himself about, doesn't look like kind of too like clumsy or anything. He did pretty well that day, and I'd like to see him given a little bit more of a chance, or like a loan, maybe like a championship club.
Yeah.
Just to see what he can do. Yeah, help him out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we touched on Jack Harrison already, so I'll end this window with Beto. I loved the initial sight of him, especially in the cup game as well. I think he had scored in that game. He for a big guy, he looked so mobile, and he looked to get about the pitch. Very much a Daesh player, but then when he got his chance, I was like, where are the points? Like, why is he not scoring points? What's going on? So, what's the deal with Beto? Is he just going to be forever a second striker?
Maybe. I mean, he was very much hot and cold with a lot of the supporters last year. I personally don't mind him. Technically, he's not great. He does have a bit of the baby giraffe about him. But he popped up with a few goals here and there, and I think if he was given a chance, he might be a bit more of a goal threat than maybe Calvert-Lewin. No, I think Calvert-Lewin is better for how the whole team plays, but I think Beto maybe might score you a couple more goals. Calvert-Lewin didn't have a great year last year either, so but yeah, I don't. He seems like a bit of a nuisance. He's a bit awkward, and he's gangly and like just big, and
he works hard though. I'll give him that. He runs on the pitch.
He works hard. He's offside a lot. I mean, that's one of the things I don't like about it. Like, you can almost guarantee he's going to be offside at least 2 or 3, 4 times a game, and it's just simple things like that. But maybe this year, if given a little bit more of a chance, then we might see a different side.
Yeah. Hopefully. I don't think there was anything worth mentioning from your winter window. So I'm going to go to the current window. In terms of outs, I mean, Danjuma went back to Villarreal. Ben Godfrey went to Atalanta. Lewis Dobbin was part of that in and out with Aston Villa, with Erogbenum. Andrea Gomez got released. I know he had a bit of a mixed time at Everton with that break leg, etc. But I guess the one out I would like to touch on is Amadou Onana, which came as a shock to me going to Aston Villa.
Yeah, I was thinking that he was going to leave this year for sure.
Really? Why?
Onana. Yeah, he was ready. I think he's he's a little bit too big for his boots sometimes. I think he thought Everton were a stepping stone for him for sure.
Fair enough.
It was, and I was more shocked that he went to Aston Villa because I think he was also expecting that. No disrespect to Aston Villa, a huge club, but the likes of Barcelona or PSG or Arsenal or someone like that would have been in for him.
He's that good.
And the interest was. I think he's good. I don't think we saw the best of him.
Okay,
Dyche
yeah.
dropped him.
Yeah.
In the running.
Yeah.
The two seasons he was here with him, he played Idrissa Gana Gay and James Garner, and he played any of them over him. And yeah, I just think he tries a little bit too. He's a bit fancy sometimes. And listen, I think at Villa he could be a world beater. He's got everything. He's big, he's strong.
Yeah.
He can pass.
Goal threat as well on set pieces.
Yeah, big guy, and so I think Villa might have got that. Could be turned out to be the signing of the year for me.
Oh wow! Okay.
It could also be a huge flop. It could literally go. There's such a flaw and a huge flaw and ceiling with this. It could really go either way. But yeah, I was expecting him to go, so that was kind of expected. Would much rather lose him than Branthwaite, Pickford, etc.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that interview of him during the Euros when the I think the news reporter or whatever referred to him as Andre, and his accent switched immediately. Sounded like he was from North London or whatever, and was like, "Bruv, wrong Onana." Like, yeah. That's my favorite moment of him so far.
Yeah, and who wants to be compared with that Onana?
I know, right? Exactly. All right, let's talk about the ins then. I guess a few names: Irugbanum, and Omari Benjamin, and Jacob Bryan. I'm assuming, are these like just kids, or are there some significant names there that we should be mindful of?
So O'Brien we signed him from Lyon, France. He was formerly at Crystal Palace.
Oh right, okay.
I think, and he went there last year.
Okay.
To Lyon, and he had a really good season. I think he scored like 4 goals in 27 games. He's a centre back, and yeah, we needed someone to cover there after losing Godfrey, and Holgate's going to probably be on his way out if he can find someone to take him. So
yeah, that's a good point. He was terrible at Sheffield.
And prior to that, he was at Southampton in the Championship, and they sent him back. So I mean, it's well, let him go for free if you can. But no, and he played yesterday, I believe. We played in a friendly yesterday at Preston, and he scored in that game too. So excited for O'Brien, especially with we ran Tarkowski and Branthwaite into the ground last year, so it's nice to have some quality back up there. Iroga Bunum, I think I'm saying his name correctly.
Yeah, said it better than I did. So
he's gonna be in the first team. He's gonna be in and around that first team for sure. Again, same, played yesterday. Seen some high praise for him. Actually, looks strong, neat on the ball. So excited to see him. He's 21, just turned 21. So yeah, excited to see him. And then Omari Benjamin is more of a
like a dynasty pick.
The kids.
Yeah.
He's going to be. I think we got him. He was released by Arsenal, maybe.
Okay.
And we picked him up. So yeah, he won't be in the round the 13 team. I shouldn't imagine anyway. But the other two for sure, will be.
All right, lovely. So let's go to some names that I kind of recognize a bit more. Jesper Lindstrom.
Yep. Came in on loan from Napoli. I think he had one season there. He'd signed him from Frankfurt, I believe. Didn't settle, and we brought him in on loan. I think he can play. He seems pretty fast, either wing, maybe in the 10 role too. Actually scored a free kick yesterday as well in the friendly with Preston. So
all right.
Also exciting. But yeah, I think we've been kind of targeting players who have maybe been playing well somewhere and had a bit of a dip. To get them, like, they're probably chomping at the bit to get back to the level that they were at. Have a bit of a point to prove, and he fits into that perfectly. So same with Ndai.
Yeah, the next name I
Not
wanted to
jumping
talk
ahead
about.
here,
Yeah, you
yeah.
know, it's all
But
right.
again, somebody who was had a great year at Sheffield United in the Championship and
Yeah,
left to go to Marseille,
yeah.
and then didn't really have a great season with Marseille. So again, bit of a point to prove. He's here on a permanent. So um, yeah, I'm hoping those two guys can hit the ground running and add that little bit of creativity that we maybe missed in parts last year.
Yeah, definitely. And you happy to have Jack back?
Yep, I am happy to have Harrison back. It just made sense with Leeds not being promoted again. I
Yeah.
believe he has like a clause in his contract that says he can leave for no fee on a no fee loan if we just cover his wages if Leeds are in the Championship. So I was very happy to see Southampton get promoted in that playoff final.
So was
we can
Jacob.
get him back. Yeah. So we got him back, and as I said previously, he didn't have a pre-season last year. He had a bit of a hip injury. Now Dyche has got him in early. He's having a full Dyche pre-season. So I'm kind of hoping we can see a little bit more of a positive side to him this season.
Okay, lovely. Are there any other players you kind of want to mention? Because I do want to talk about, well, the thing is it's Dyche, so is there a new system? Surely it's the same system.
I think it's the same system. I think he's definitely, it's not Burnley Dyche for sure.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, how can you watch Dyche?" This is not how he played at Burnley. This is, it's similar. It's direct.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not playing out from the back. But the players he's bringing in. You look at like Lindstrom and Dye, creativity kind of more side of things, and yeah, the football is, it's not great, but it's also not terrible.
It's effective as well at the same time, right? So
yeah, I mean, after last year, who are we to question him really?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the only other players I have to, I was thinking about mentioning, obviously Branthwaite. We kind of gone over that situation, and the other one is Calvert-Lewin. So he has 1 year left on his deal right now.
Right.
We have offered him a new contract, and he's not signed it yet.
Ooh.
So, I don't think Everton will want to lose him for free at the end of next season.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of clubs sniffing around him. Newcastle were looking at him. West Ham. So,
I mean, Spurs are looking for a striker as well.
Yeah, he's been playing in the preseason games. So Dyche is probably looking to at least go into the start of the season with him. Personally, if he's not signed that contract by the first game, I wouldn't be playing him. I just think it sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
To Beto, to other players.
Yeah.
So. I hope he signs it. I think Everton he scored some really big goals for Everton.
Yeah.
But I think Everton have also been good to him. He's had bad injuries, and we stuck by him. And they've offered him apparently a very good offer. Like he's going to be one of the highest earners at the club, and
he doesn't want it yet. Oof.
If he's not, he's not said either way, but it kind of looks that way if it's been offered weeks ago and nothing's been signed, So we'll see how that one goes. It's if he does go, I hope Everton get it sorted soon because we definitely need to get one or maybe two strikers in.
Yeah, I mean now it's interesting. Like, what would be your expected formation starting 11 then, start of the season or like first few game weeks?
So Dyche is going to stick to his normal 4-4-1-1 kind of formation. So it's just starting from the back, obviously Pickford in goal, and then I think 3 of the back 4 picks itself. You've got Tarkowski and Branthwaite at centre half, and then Mikolenko at left back. The right back spot, I personally have Patterson in there right now. Dyche has not been a fan at all, I don't think.
Yeah, you were big on him last season as well. I mean, I like him. I like the profile of him. He likes a pop at goal. He works hard. He's quick. But you're saying, sorry.
So I think Dyche likes him in a 5, maybe as like a wing back instead. But
yeah,
I think this is the year for him to maybe step up because the other options are Coleman and Ashley Young.
Coleman is still playing football.
Coleman's still going. Seamus is still going. And you know what? I love Seamus.
Yeah.
But I think by his own admission, he shouldn't be starting.
No.
You know, he probably can't start week in, week out now.
Yeah.
So this is Patterson's chance. He's got a chance to step up now. And if he can stay fit, he can hopefully claim that position as his own. So I have him at the minute at right back. And then into the midfield, I think he's going to go with Harrison and McNeil, I think, as his wingers to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the centre of midfield, it could kind of be a toss-up. I have James Garner and Idrissa Gana Gay in there at the moment, just because I haven't really seen much of Iroga Bunam.
Yeah.
And Decore was in there last year, but was more in the 10 role, so I didn't want to drop him back. James Garner has got a slight issue at the moment. I think muscle issue. He didn't play yesterday, so whether he'll meet that out for the first few games, not too sure yet. But and then in the 10 role, I have Ndai. I think he's been brought in, and he brought him in on a permanent. So I don't know if he'll play one on the loan, sat like Lindstrom over him. And then as my forward, I do still have Calvert-Lewin just because he has been playing him in the preseason games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that could be the correct team for the first few games. I wouldn't be surprised if he has Lindstrom in there, Iroga Bunam. He maybe plays better over Calvert-Lewin if things change. Apparently yesterday it was Harrison who was playing in the 10 role.
Okay.
With McNeil and Lindstrom on the wing, so that's maybe something to keep an eye on.
All right. Interesting. So, given all of this, what would be your next season's expectations?
I think same as last year. I think I probably would say 11th to 15th if I was being, 10th maybe if we can. I'm praying for no points deductions. We can't do that again this year, and I'm hoping. I think we're going to be okay with the sales of Godfrey and Dobbin before the June 30th deadline. So yeah, with no points deductions, and especially if there's points deductions for other teams.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
I'm thinking like 11th to 15th. I wouldn't say we're weaker this year. I think if anything we're a little stronger.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping for at least similar results with the added 8 points back. So with no deductions. So yeah, that'll be my guess. But we'll see. I don't want to be too. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, we'll be nowhere near relegation, and then we're speaking this time. Well, we're not speaking this time next year because we're not in the Premier League anymore.
Oh, don't put that in the universe.
Yeah, so no, I'm hoping a modest 11th to 15th, I think.
Yeah. I am jealous of you, though, in the sense that I would love to know what it feels like to have the same manager one season and the next season. But life's difficult as a Chelsea fan, so...
Yeah, it changes every week, it seems like, at Chelsea.
It's mental.
I was amazed when Poch went. I think he had a good end to the season.
Fantastic end, yeah.
6th for Chelsea. It was
it
after
snapped
the
your
last
hand off.
Years.
Yeah. Honestly,
so
playing great football, found a system. I mean, arguably, like maybe what was it? Last 4-6 games of the season, you make a table. I know it's a small sample size, but we would have been top 4.
Right. Yeah, and I think with him this year, building on that, could have been top 4. Might still be with Maresca, but.
But after that Leicester pod, I don't know. I'm not very hopeful.
Yeah, he had one season, and I read a little bit about him and I don't know too much about him, but he's pretty set in his ways, pretty stubborn. Has plan A, and
that's it.
So I mean, but we'll see. Gallagher, the Gallagher thing is strange to me, very strange because. I think I saw a stat that he played 50 out of 51 games last year for Chelsea.
Yeah, makes sense.
Captain for most games, and I think he had a good year. He was solid in that midfield. He was reliable.
Yeah. And Fantrax's points were coming out the wazoo.
He outshone 2 midfielders there that cost you 100 million apiece.
Yeah.
And I fell right into that trap. I drafted him in my league, and so thank you, Maresca. It's really appreciated.
So before we move on to the next segment, is there anything else you want to touch on, or shall we chat some fan tracks?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered a lot of it. We can go to the fan tracks, and I have a few more things there with Everton that we can talk about. So
all right,
let's go.
Lovely. First pick. Is it an obvious one? A midfielder?
I think yes.
Okay.
He was someone I was interested in taking this year. He didn't have a great season last year.
No.
On fan tracks was still solid.
Mm.
Just in general, not a great season. But I think McNeil is going to be he's Dyche's love child.
Yeah.
And he takes a good set piece, and we have a lot of chances coming from set pieces. So, crosses into the box, anything like that is gold. And I think he fills the stat sheet on fan tracks. I feel like interceptions, tackles, key passes, accurate crosses. So I think he would be my first pick. It's closely followed though by Tarkowski. So
which round?
McNeil, I would say. I think if you get him after the third round, you've done very well. I think he's definitely going to go in the top three.
Yeah.
I actually took him in my home league with the fourth pick of the third round.
Okay.
Tarkowski, I think if you can get him round 5 or later, again, good pickup.
Agreed.
Last year, again, these are not guaranteed to happen again this year, but we had the 4th best defense, we had the 2nd most clean sheets, and even if we concede a couple of goals, he's
a monster.
Aerials, tackles, clearances, block shots. He's like a magnet. Everything hits him. So
I think he topped 2 categories actually last season by himself.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to check it, but yeah. I mean, listen, Tarkowski, absolute legend. But who do you have after that? Then your second of your 3 picks.
So next 3, I've got Calvert-Lewin still there, just because there's not much really. The Everton are one of the kind of teams I think who are kind of more effective on the pitch and fan tracks wise. Don't have a lot of assets. So Calvert-Lewin, if he goes somewhere else, if it's in the Premier League, I think he's still a good pick. If he goes to West Ham, I think he's a top 6-7 round striker for sure. Again, wins a lot of aerials. Even without his goals, he might get you 5, 6, 7 points. So with a goal, you're looking at you're touching 20 points. So
solid forward too, I want to say.
Yes, I think so. If he's playing regularly, if he signs a contract, or he goes somewhere else in the Premier League and plays regularly, solid forward too. I think. I'd have him. You see the likes of like Højlund and stuff, and I like Højlund, but fan tracks wise, he
doesn't ghost as well. I feel like
no, he doesn't.
I feel like DCL has a higher floor, but I don't know about his ceiling. That's my concern.
Right. No, fully agree.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I have Branthwaite in there just mainly with the defensive stats from last year.
Yeah. And the scoring correction as
sheets.
Well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that'll definitely help. A little more reliant on the clean sheets than Tarkowski is. So I'm not saying don't draft him as obviously don't draft him as high as Tarkowski, but yeah, Branthwaite. And then my next one was a little stab in the dark with Ndai or Lindstrom.
Okay.
If one of them can get down that number 10 spot or a wing spot, I think that they might do pretty well. Both a little bit tricky. Might get some points for take-ons, key passes, and if they're playing on the wing especially, will be expected to do the defensive side as well. So tackles, interceptions, maybe even a few blocked crosses or something. So they're kind of a little bit of a stab in the dark though.
Okay. The two categories that Tarkowski topped were block shots and aerials. 56 block shots, 145 aerials. Monster.
Yeah, the guy's a monster, and he plays almost every single minute.
Yeah.
So that's another a huge positive.
Love it. Have you got a hidden gem?
So again, I picked Patterson. Again,
Okay.
I hope this isn't putting the jinx on him like it did last year.
I mean, you got the Branthwaite one right, so you never know.
I think if Patterson can nail down that right back spot, and he's a kind of an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
With the defensive,
Mm-hmm.
if we're good defensively again, I think he could be up there. And another one for me would be Jack Harrison.
Yeah.
I think with a full pre-season under his belt this year, he scored well when he was with Leeds. And last year he didn't do too bad.
He had patches.
Yeah, I think he could be. I wouldn't be surprised if some leagues he goes undrafted.
Yeah.
But I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Because I think he's going to play under Dice for sure. And, yesterday he played in that 10 role, so it might offer a bit of a different output this year.
Okay, love it. Have you got a trap asset for us?
My trap was Calvert-Lewin, just because of the contract situation.
Yeah.
Outside of that, maybe Decore.
Yeah. Oh my god, he frustrated so many people last season.
Yeah, the first half of the year, great.
Yeah.
Scored points, scored goals, did everything. And then he just died off in the new year. Also not been frequently, I don't think, playing in pre-season.
Okay.
And with the added, with the additions of Ndai and Lindstrom, Harrison coming back, I don't think that 10 role is going to be his.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit further back this year. That'll probably, again, that could help him. I guess he's a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder then. Might still get in there for pop up for a goal. I might get some more defensive stats. But yeah, him and Calvert-Lewin would probably be a bit of a trap for me.
Is it like with Decore? Do you think maybe he was just kind of run into the ground a bit? And I mean, that was what he did for Everton. He just ran and ran non-stop. I even think back to that Brentford game. It felt like he didn't stop moving.
Yeah, we lost him for a few games through injury, I think.
Yeah, hamstrings, I think. Yeah.
And I think during those 4 or 5 games he was out, we didn't win one game.
Yeah.
I think he was rushed back a little bit, and I think the second half of the season he was not fully fit. And the guy doesn't offer much technically. He's not technically great, but he was a presence, and he was working. It was working with him in that 10 role.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's probably the biggest trap. Again, with Calvert-Lewin, I did say that I'd take him as probably the Everton's third pick in the draft, but I wouldn't personally use a high draft pick on him. I'd round 6 or 7 onwards, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe take. I can't see him going abroad. That's for sure. So he's either going to stay at Everton and play, stay at Everton and not play, or he's going to be somewhere else in the Premier League. And if you want to take that risk, then go for it. Personally, not for me. I don't like having Everton strikers anyway, because if we don't score, then it's a loss on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you gotta hedge those points with those feelings.
Yeah.
Before we move on, any other assets you want to touch on?
No, not really. I don't think. I think that's we're pretty standard. We haven't got like a huge squad. I don't want to kind of say that one of these new guys too much will be setting the world on fire, because I've not seen too much of them. But I think Everton players are definitely maybe one to keep an eye on the free agency and your waiver pickups. Let's see how they do first 4 or 5 games, and if someone is performing, pretty solidly, might be worth a pickup for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Final segment, advice time. Maddie, you've been playing this game for over a decade, I want to say.
Around that, yeah. It's been the cause of a lot of controversy in our friend groups and stuff, but Yeah, we're all still here. We're back at a big league this year, 12-person league, and it's gonna be a good one, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully, man. So I've got a question for you that is unscripted. Do you have any draft day tradition? Like, do you wear like lucky underwear? Do you need to see a particular animal cross the road? I don't know what it is. And in terms of how you draft, do you use Excel sheets or are you like a vibes person?
One tradition that we didn't do it this year, but we have done it a few times. We go and play foot golf in the morning,
Okay, yeah,
like a bunch of us. So
yeah.
we go and do like nine holes, and we're walking around there and we're talking about what pick are you, where you're gonna pick, that kind of stuff. And I'm constantly trying to throw people off when we're playing. Like, oh, you like that guy, and I like, let's say it was, Foden, for example.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I wouldn't touch Foden this year. I think he's not gonna be great. When really, I'm like, I'm big on Foden this
Yeah.
year. So I'm playing the mind games,
Yeah.
trying to get into people's heads a little bit. So that's one tradition that we have. And then what was the second question again? Sorry.
So, in terms of how you draft on draft day, do you use like Excel sheets or you just pick by vibes?
I'm very much Excel sheets. I feel like I look at the draft guide from the guys at the Draft Society.
Yeah.
Use that a little bit, and I also kind of put my own like knowledge to it a little bit, and some players on there that they're high on that I'm not high on. So yeah, a little bit of both really.
Okay.
I like taking a risk towards the end
Yeah.
of the draft for sure. Maybe picking a player that is new to the league that I've never even heard of, just on the hope that I might drop on someone. Which this year is Rodrigo Gomez from Wolves. Been hearing a lot of good things about him.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got him. I'm hoping he could be a 0.5 average player.
Yeah.
For all I know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've never seen the guy.
Yeah.
So, but from what I've read about him from a few Wolves fans, I'm hoping he can be my little gem this year.
Okay. I mean, we're recording our Wolves pod tomorrow, so I'll definitely ask him about that.
Yeah, ask him. Yeah, I was. He's like he was. I think he was like 4% owned, maybe. So again, It's probably just people taking punts.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
I'm on board now, and hey, if it goes well, remember me saying this.
Yeah.
If he plays 3 games this season, then let's just
never talk about it again.
Yeah. So,
do you have any experience trading draft picks?
No, it's never been something that we've done. We've said, hey, if you want to do it, you can do it, but it's never happened in our league. I think people get too like flustered sometimes.
Yeah.
You got 90 seconds to make your pick, and it's like, I'll give you this pick, and it's just a little bit too much. So, nothing that never happened in our league.
Okay. How do you usually do your waivers or your FA claims? Like, do you have a particular strategy around that?
No real strategy. In our league, we do like kind of the reverse of the league standings, just like the standard way. But during the transfer window, we don't have the waiver wire reset. So if you're first pick and you use it, you go to 12th. So we do that for the transfer window, and so I drafted 4th this year. So I'm currently, and someone below me has used their pick, so I've moved up a spot. So I think I'm 7th now. I'm just kind of holding on to it for now. There's almost a month to go of this window.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping someone comes in, but there is also temptation there with some of the players that are signing now, and
like Fulkrug and Somerville and.
Yeah, I think I need a striker in my league too. So Fulkrug's appealing to me. Ismail Assar, Crystal Palace. He's got history with Trax.
Yeah,
being at Watford, and was not bad. So
yeah,
they're appealing. I'm kind of hoping that they'll bypass everybody and be available as a free agent.
Yeah.
So just release this after Tuesday, right? When my waiver comes in. just so no one hears that.
I mean, I haven't tweeted any of the episodes, so unless you actually follow us
great.
or you're in our Discord, you won't have a clue.
Great. Yeah, just release it. Yeah, after these next few weeks, let me pick up some of these free agents first without using my waiver pick.
So I take it then you don't use Fab still.
No, not something we've used, or we may look at doing it in the future. Maybe something to kind of spice things up a little bit, but at the moment, yeah, just the usual waiver wire claims.
Okay. Do you have any best or worst trades from last season that are quite memorable?
Yeah, I have a bad trade from last year.
You always have a bad one.
I have 2 bad trades from last year in 2 separate leagues. I traded after week 1 or week 2.
Yeah.
I traded out Anthony Gordon.
Oh.
And in return, I got Matty Cash.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Matty, are you kidding me? Why?
No.
How?
I watched Gordon those first couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, I think the first week they beat Aston Villa. Like
5-1 or something. Yeah.
And he got 1 assist and got like 11 points. And I was like, he's going to be very reliant. And I was like, Emery likes his attacking fullbacks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go with Matty Cash. And I think he had a good first couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's got a brace, right? In game week 2 or 3 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so I was just
Oh,
huge regret on that one.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And then in a different league I was in, I had too many midfielders.
Yeah.
And I had Palmer, Foden, McNeil,
Jesus,
Decore when he was playing well. So I was like, I could do with shipping someone out here.
Yeah.
So I shipped out Phil Foden, and in return I got Alexander-Arnold. And
oh my god, yeah, Trent had a terrible season.
And Foden a great, yeah. And at the time I was like, I'm fine with that. It opens up a midfield spot for me. I've got Alexander-Arnold take set pieces. And then Foden just kept playing and scoring, and I was like, so that was not one of my best moments.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Foden massively outperformed his XG as well, right? So I don't expect him to kind of get to that height. Maybe more assists to kind of compensate it, but yeah, you can't really predict a Trent injury-riddled season, Klopp quitting halfway through. I mean, Everton fans must have been rejoicing when all of that went down, but and with Foden too, I think I'd had him previously, and I don't like the City. It's a roulette. I don't want to look at the team sheet and be like, okay, let me get this sort of confirmation that my player is actually starting. Like, I don't want to have to stress about that, especially as a top 2, top 3 round pick, right?
And like saying this year with like Doku, like I was very tempted to take Doku.
Yeah.
But I need Grealish as well.
Yeah.
And
or Bernardo Silva or Savio or all their millions of wingers, right? So
so I don't want to do it, and it's and especially sometimes they're the last game of the game week 2, so it's like you got to save a spot on your bench. You can't play, but then the spot on your bench, the person you're bringing in is a defender. For like Southampton. Do I really want to play this defender for Southampton? Instead of Doku's on the bench who might not play at all.
Yeah.
So with Foden, that's what I was feeling, and I ended up losing the playoff final in that league, and I think if I'd have kept him, it might have been him and Palmer in midfield together would have been
game over, man. Like
different gravy. So
any good trades, or was it just bad ones?
Trying to think. Who did I get in last year? I'm trying to pull up my history here, but it's not showing for me. Who did I picked up Palmer in one league.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
He was great for me. Who else did I trade in? I think I might have traded in. I think striker wise last year. I'm always kind of trying to trade out my strikers who can't hit a bull's ass with a frying pan at times, and then I trade them out and they're amazing. But nothing is kind of really coming to mind at the moment. I think I traded out Neto in one league. I had him in both leagues, so I was like, he's partial to an injury.
Yeah.
I traded him out in one league, but I can't remember what I got back. But that wasn't terrible because he did get injured.
Yeah,
so,
he did. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
No, nothing comes to mind like those bad trades, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Those might have been some of the worst trades I've heard in this series so far.
they were awful. I got in Nunes last year for someone. I can't remember who it was. And Darwin was good, but a little, he was had the off game. And again, those weeks where he just wasn't
starting
playing at all.
Yeah.
Martinelli was someone who I brought in last year too.
That's another tough one. Yeah.
I had him and Jesus at one point, so I was like, "Oh, great, one of them will play," and then
neither of them,
neither of them were playing, and then one week both of them were playing, and I couldn't play both of them.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah.
Again, that's kind of I'm done with all that City stuff now and Liverpool stuff. I'll take Salah, I'll take Haaland, but
and that's it. Yeah.
Outside of that, you just never know. You know?
Yeah, you're right. So before we leave Everton assets, given your start to the season, do you think there's any particular assets that managers could buy low or sell high? Because you've got a bit of a mixed start, right? You've got Brighton at home, then Spurs away, Bournemouth at home, and then Aston Villa away, and then away to Leicester. So it's kind of seesawy in a sense, right?
Yeah, couple of hard away games there with Spurs and Villa. Brighton at home as well isn't. You never know what you're going to get with Brighton. Bournemouth too. Such like an up and down team. In terms of drafting in players, if we don't have a good start, I was going to say Tarkovsky, but
you could probably buy low on him after a few game weeks, maybe.
Yeah, with the new rule though, where they don't, get the -2 for the first goal, I can only see him maybe being better this year. McNeil, maybe if those two top targets that I mentioned, with Ndai and Lindstrom coming in, he might be rotated, not rotated, like I expect McNeil to start every game, but he might be subbed off more now. So if he doesn't have a good first couple of weeks. And then, just I think there's more upside for Everton here if they do well. There's players that are going to be on the waiver wire who are available to pick up. So I think act quickly on those. The 3 home games start the year at Brighton, Bournemouth, and Crystal Palace. So I think if there's an attacking player, Lindstrom and Dye, who's starting those first few games, might be worth just taking a risk on and getting them in and. Having them there just in case they go off.
Okay, sounds good. So then final question for you. Over the past few seasons that you've played, what lessons have you learned that you're taking forward into the upcoming 24-25 campaign that you'd like to share with other managers?
I think I've been guilty of just pulling the trigger on some players too early, like Anthony Gordon, and just reading into a few weeks and being like, this guy's going to be goal reliant, assist reliant, and also too how that sometimes is not a great thing, but also too if they are scoring those goals and they are getting those assists, keep them. I think you just got to kind of look at who else you've got in your team. If you've got like a McNeil or someone who's a good ghoster, you could probably afford to keep those more goal and assist reliant players.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend having a full midfield of those types of players.
Yeah.
But if you've got, like last year with the Core and that kind of player, even like a Declan Rice who scores pretty well without, scoring, pretty reliant. You can afford to have like an Anthony Gordon who might get 2.5 one week, but then another week he gets 38.5.
Yeah.
So. That kind of that's one thing I've kind of learned. I was always out on those reliant players, but maybe have a look at your squad a little more first and see if you can afford to carry those guys. And if you can, the upside is definitely there with them.
Yeah.
And then, don't do bad trades. That's the only other thing I can offer.
That's great.
If anyone asks me, should I do this trade, and I say, yeah, that means probably don't do it. So, that's basically it. Yeah, that's all I can kind of. That's what I've learned after playing almost a decade of this. That just I get trade happy sometimes. Just trading for the sake of trading. And
have you ever used the trade calculator on the Draft Society toolkit?
I have, yeah, and I think sometimes too it does come in handy.
Yeah.
A lot of it is down to the manager who you're trading with.
Yeah.
They might view one of my players who I'm like kind of okay with getting rid of, and they might be big on them.
Yeah.
And it's just got to all fall right. And position wise, like the Trent and Foden trade last year was purely down to positions for me, and I thought it was pretty fair at the time. But yeah, I don't like to have. We have a cap on our league of how many midfielders and strikers you can have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 7 midfielders, 5 strikers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have any more than that. You squad at one time, and I don't like being at capacity. I don't like having 7 midfielders or 5 strikers because it handcuffs you a little bit in terms of dropping players and trading.
Yeah.
So that was one part of my thinking last year with that trade. So yeah, I think don't. If you have one of those like caps on your league, I'd recommend don't lock yourself into to 7 midfielders. You can only play 5 of them max. So maybe get one of those out and get yourself a striker in if you can. It might benefit you more.
Yeah, solid advice. Awesome. All right, listeners, that's all we had planned for the pod. Maddie, it's been a pleasure, as always, chatting everything Everton with you. Any final words you want to say before we sign off?
Just, hopefully it's a good year, a good draft year for everybody. And I'm hoping that everyone's going to have some Everton players in the team because it means that Everton are doing well, if that's the case. So, that's all I hope for, and just have a solid year, and great to be back and speaking to you.
Awesome, mate. All right, listeners, thanks again for tuning in. Just keep listening. We've got more guests, more clubs to come, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.